With the death penalty on the table in this case, the jury's work is far from over.
KSL investigator Daniela Rivera joins us now to break down Idaho's death penalty process. Daniela?
Well, that's right. Up until today, the jury had been asked to look at all of the evidence presented and decide whether Chad Daybell is guilty. But now they'll be asked a very different and perhaps even weightier question. Should Chad Daybell be sentenced to death?
The state has filed a notice of intent to seek the death penalty.
A decision that falls to a jury of Chad Daybell's peers.
All capital cases are terrible in one way or another.
Robin Marr is the executive director of the Death Penalty Information Center, a nonprofit organization tracking capital murder cases and executions across the country.
The United States Supreme Court has said that we are reserving the death penalty not for every murderer or even every terrible person who commits a crime, but only those who are especially worthy of this most extreme punishment.
The prosecution and defense teams are once again making their case.
There is an entirely separate proceeding in which the jury will only consider what the most appropriate sentence is for this person.
But jurors will consider much more than the facts of the crime. They'll also look at Daybell's life, character, mental health, and possibly even the significant taxpayer resources drained by a death sentence and the emotional toll of a lengthy appeal process that could last decades.
At some point, people are thinking about whether this is going to make sense, not only for the victim family, for the defendant, but also for the community. I think it'd be very difficult for those thoughts not to occur to jurors.
According to the Death Penalty Information Center, the state of Idaho has executed 3 people since 1976. Currently, 7 men and 1 woman are serving time on the state's death row, and the last execution in the state was carried out in 2012. An attempted lethal injection in February this year was unsuccessful and halted, with the man still alive. Nationally, the number of death sentences handed down each year has dropped drastically in the last 3 decades, from about 300 in 1995 to just 21 last year.
The trend has definitely been away from use of the death penalty toward abolition.
Regardless of the outcome, the weight of this jury's decision is sure to be felt by those both inside and outside of the courtroom.
So there are a lot of consequences, and people now talk pretty openly about the trauma that they experience as a consequence of sitting through a capital case and then the aftermath.
In addition to lethal injection, the state of Idaho approved the firing squad as another execution method last year, but they don't have a facility for that method. And as of February, the state was having a hard time finding contractors willing to do that construction work.
All right, Daniela, great reporting. Thank you. Now, there have been a lot of moving pieces to this case. We have an in-depth breakdown on our website for each person involved and a timeline of the events. Head on over to ksltv.com to get caught up.